Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you as always from the Extreme Studios in the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have RDV from the Great Midwest joining me tonight, as well as the young 20-something Professor Pixel, the Publix Amazon shill, the corporate globalist who must be deprogrammed, and that's why tonight we're going to make sure we get heavy use of his feedback on movies from 1985, something that we're revisiting here on the Extreme Movie Show. Now, RDV, obviously, we've taken a look at a lot of different films here. We'd like to cover our runner-ups and get into the 10 films. We're just going to generate some discussions and all that. I see you're starting us off with Missing in Action 2 at the beginning. Professor Pixel, one of your jobs as a young man is to understand that when you look down there and you see Golden Globe as production, it's probably a canon film, which means it's a canon classic, which automatically means it's good. RDV, I hand it to you now.
Missing in Action 2, like I said, if you've never seen Chuck Norris in Missing Action 1, you should need to go watch that first and watch this. But you could say this is also like a prequel to it. Dude, Missing Action, Chuck Norris going behind enemy lines. He's over in Vietnam. No One Left Behind. Chuck Norris basically pulling almost like a Rambo 2. Or people call it Rambo, sorry, because First Blood's the first one. No one would know what it is, though. That's why I call it Rambo 2, because there's two Rambos. Anyway, no, so when it comes to this, it's just Chuck Norris going behind, rescuing some soldiers, and just seeing how he is tortured. It's like holy crap. And then he saves the day at the end, gives him some sweet roundhouse kicks in like he always does, doing his karate, and he's doing it while he's got the manly beard you see on there. He's got the chest hair on display. Chuck Norris, man, is just pure testosterone. The rest of us don't have it. He took all of it.
Pixel, have you seen this?
No.
Alrighty then. Let's go on to the next one.
All right. Next one is Lady Hawk. Another good movie. Matthew Broderick, and it is Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer. Two lovers that are basically cursed. She turns into a hawk during the day, and then nighttime, Rutger Hauer turns into a wolf. So basically, they can never be human at the same time. And Matthew Broderick has a thing for Michelle Pfeiffer because we all do,
except Zach.
And it is just fun. Basically, the whole thing is that at the end, Matthew Broderick ends up helping him break the curse. Fantastic movie. Great year for runner-ups, man.
There's a lot of nice runner-ups here. I'm not a fan of Matthew Broderick a lot, so this was a movie that I watched once and whatever.
This is
well. Why do you? Well, I gotta ask because I can't speak about this movie. I don't know how he is in it. Why do you dislike Matthew Broderick?
Because he's annoying. Look at. Well, first of all, if you look at him, he's got a very punchable face, right? We talked about when we did 1983 and we talked about War Games, how that I felt that was his least annoying role. He has just this sort of slightly annoying kind of, not necessarily evil persona, but like in Cable Guy, right? 1996. He deserves what he's getting from Jim Carrey because he's not really, he's just skeevy. And he always looks that way. When I'm looking at him here now, I'm going, if you X'd out Matthew Broderick and you had this story of Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer and he turns into a wolf, and she's whatever because they did the right thing putting her in the middle of the print, that's more watchable than Matthew Broderick. So he's a great person that you could say makes a movie better by taking him out of it.
Jeez.
I'm just gonna say that when it comes to Matthew Broderick, Rob, I wish you'd observe A Code of Silence.
1985 Chicago. Chuck
Oh
Norris.
My gosh!
Keep producing them.
There's so many Chuck Norris's movies that on the 80s are just what we've covered this as well. This is on our channel as well. Go check another review on that.
Was this the one that had the Chicago subway scene? The sun?
I think so.
Yeah, this is good. The mean streets of Chicago.
A lot of times these they blur together because like it's just like he does the same formula over and over again. He gets the last kick, there's either police corruption, he's a cop. They're not the best stories, but the fight scenes are great, and Chuck Norris, the way he speaks, it's kind of like that. It's like the James Edward, almost the same thing. It's like, Crockett, I love it. Ninjas.
Pixel, have you seen this film?
No, I'm not gonna.
Canon classic. You're supposed to see it. Start
Do
with
you-
Canon films.
Have you ever seen any Chuck Norris films?
No, actually, that's the strange thing.
All right, after Bond, we're going to Chuck Norris. We're going to redo him with Pixel's point of view.
That's right.
Yes. Chuck on Pixel. We're going to get it. All right. The next one. Smooth Operator. View to a Kill. A movie we will be reviewing soon on Xtreme Movie Show. We should be uploading soon. We just got to work for a time that Pixel's awake to record it.
Yeah, the whole idea of the young 20-something is that we're supposed to be deprogramming him. And so part of his training regimen is to watch all the James Bond films in order because unfortunately, even with video games and movies today, if you belong to a subscription service, they can edit it out. They can put trigger warnings, all those kinds of things that I just find annoying. They do it with the Bond stuff. We know Bond's probably going to be another 4 or 5 years before the next film comes out. And I'm only half joking because I think there's a good chance of that. So might as well go back and watch everything too. And A View to a Kill's a very interesting film in that he's definitely seen as being very old in here, and it's the 80s where things are changing. So yeah, we'll hold off any more comment on this because Pixel, I know you have not seen it.
Oh.
So we'll just talk about
I've seen half of it.
That doesn't count because you've not completed it.
But it was good.
So would you compare this to Diamonds Are Forever? Is Connery?
A lot of people think the third film for each actor is their best, assuming they've done more than that. But some people say the last ones are the worst. That's an interesting observation as well.
Yeah.
When we talk about these Bond films, we'll bring up some of those things because there's a lot I like in Diamonds Are Forever, but Sean Connery's totally mailed it. And here, I don't think he has. I think a lot of this film's got some great things to talk about. It just like a lot of Bond stuff falls flat in the third act for me personally. But that's not a spoiler if you listen to him. Next,
and this came out May 22nd, so we're going to May 31st, and it is Rob's favorite film, I think. If not,
I just think it's tremendous. I love it.
You're always talking about this movie, so and we have to review it on the channel, so it'll be reviewed soon.
Pixel, have you seen this, Pixel?
No.
God damn it! Yeah, I want you to watch this movie and have a Bloody Mary, a steak sandwich, and a steak sandwich.
Do you know who Chevy Chase is?
Yeah, of course I know who Chevy
Okay, I'm just making sure.
No, it's a legitimate question. Did you know he was on Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Did you know he had the Shatner effect going on where everybody was jealous of him because he was a bit of an asshole?
Kind of.
Did you know that when he was on the show RDV and I were talking about a few weeks back, what was it, Community or whatever and all that? I forget what it was, that little sitcom. To me, when you see him on there, you're like, holy crap, he still has it. This guy's great. No matter what you think of him, great film. Tim Matheson, man, he's phenomenal. Great 80s film.
Yes, did not see the Don Draper reboot.
I did, and I apologize for everybody for it. I took the bullets so you guys don't have to.
That's so Fletch.
Yeah, well, whatever.
All right. Our next one came out on June 26th. It is our first one on the runner-up, with Clint Eastwood. Pale Rider. Awesome movie. Westerns. If you've never watched any Clint Eastwood's early movies with the Westerns, you're just doing yourself a disservice. Everybody talks about John Wayne, Robert Mitchum. Clint Eastwood, man. He is the king of Westerns for me. Now, I'm not saying that John Wayne is a bad actor when it comes to Westerns. I just love Clint Eastwood, man. He just seems like he's pissed off no matter what's going on. And I love it.
You know, we've mentioned briefly, we've only covered a few Westerns. I wouldn't say we're aficionados, but Clint definitely has this type, just like Howard Hawks would and a few others. So definitely an area worth looking at too, because it does take you to a different place, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He said, they coming back for revenge. That's always that's I love spaghetti westerns where this lone mysterious stranger comes in on a pale horse, and you're like, who's this person? And just helping out this town that's being trying to get run out by this guy who wants the gold all for himself. So he's trying to run them out of the poor people out of town. And here comes in, Clint Eastwood on a pale white horse because it's supposed to represent death.
Did you know death rides a pale horse? Yes.
Yes.
That's correct, sir.
All right. Our next one we're going to get a little bit weird with. It came out on August 2nd.
Weird. Science.
A dopey movie, hot babe, And Bill Paxton is Chet.
Enough said.
If it was only this easy to basically make yourself your own girlfriend,
You too can do it if only you had a computer.
you gotta put your bras on your head, and then that's how you do it. The little Barbie doll and all that stuff. It was the most ridiculous plot ever, but Keller Buck
Only
was
in the
hot.
80s.
But man, was she hot though back then? Until she got with Seagal, and then she just went downhill, just like Seagal.
He ate her. All
I
right,
think he-
next.
I think he gave her all the food.
It's
Well, so speaking of things that should stay dead, like Seagal,
this one's fun. It's a
I-
lot of fun.
Tower Man. And I will not watch it because of Tower Man. I saw a clip of that. I was like, no, I'm out. But I watched Return to the Living Dead #3 though. I watched that one because the hot babe. But yeah, this is I've seen parts of this and it's pretty good.
It's a lot of fun, actually.
It's a comedy. It's
Yes.
a dark comedy, which threw
Exactly.
me off because I was like, we reviewed Return of the Living Dead, the original, or the Living Dead, we call it. And holy crap!
The
Black
scene
man.
in here where the guy's like sniffed the stuff that's turning into a zombie, and he's trying to like convince his girlfriend to eat her brain. He's like, honey, I know you love me and I love you too, so if you love me, you let me eat your brain.
Yeah,
This is how you do a dumb comedy from the 80s. This is fun.
Was that Freddie? I think his name was.
I don't even know it, but it's just so
Like
damn good.
the jock, and yeah, it's and the girl who plays in that thing, she's one of the I guess would have been survivors. She's like 55 years old, so it's kind of cool to see some of these actresses. The younger actors are still around. But yeah, our next one.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more line. Every time I think of this movie, that's the close up. And some people might call it the ET shot, right? The bicycle over the moon or whatever in front of it. It's when the zombies pull up into the. This is so good with the cop car takes the scene because he hears some. And he goes, "Send more cops." Love it. Oh, it's a great midnight movie. Oh my god, I wish we had something like that now.
It's almost like a trauma, or those
trauma films. Yeah,
trauma films. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. All right, our next work going up the same month, the week later, it is Michael Dudikoff's first film.
Pixel. Is this a canon film?
Yes.
Okay, that means you're supposed to see it. Okay, American Ninja. We've covered this RDV.
Yeah, we have.
This is slightly above average, even for ninja films.
It is perfect. And do you know how Michael Dudikoff got this role, right? Mall
I
searches.
believe we discussed it, right?
Yeah. Back in the day, go to the mall and have like 400 to 500 people casting coming in. Casting call. It was crazy.
As opposed to the Ninja Casting Couch, which only existed in the early 80s, but we won't talk about that.
You're not supposed to. You already did. You broke the rule.
This is a good movie. It's a canon film. That means it's a must-see.
All right. And, well, speaking of things like Gary Busey. Stephen King's Silver Bullet, man.
This is tough, I think, to not have in the top 10. And we're not saying that they're the 10 best films or anything like that. It's really tough. This is so good.
It normally would be, though. It's probably in everybody's top 10. It's just that we decided to basically leave it out in the runner-up. Still mention it, though, because I want to spotlight other things other than what most people talk about,
When we reviewed this a year or two ago, RDV, Pixel, you may have started joining us at that time. I don't recall.
I didn't see
this. I'm watching it going, I have not seen this. I've read the book, I've got all the Stephen King stuff, read a lot of his stuff, of course, as a kid. But when we watched it, I went, wow, I'm really glad I sat back and watched it. And that's kind of like a microcosm of what we do here on Extreme Movie Shows. We revisit some stuff, we cover new stuff as well. But that way we can get the discussion going about it, because a lot of stuff's been made about Stephen King's adaptations and how they suck or how they might be
Yeah.
good and how many times are you going to do it and everything else. And it's tailor made for this kind of stuff. This just seems to work on a pretty good level. It's really, really good. This is probably one of his better adaptations, in my opinion. I like it a lot.
I gotta ask though, have you seen any Corey Haim films at all?
License to Drive, sir, would be in a
Oh,
couple
I,
years.
oh,
This year.
I'm talking about Pixel. Does
Oh.
anyone know?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it.
Well, have you seen License to Drive? Have you seen Lost Boys?
Oh yes, I've seen The Lost Boys.
He's in there too
I
as
don't like
well.
The Lost Boys, but I've seen The Lost
Dream
Boys.
a Little Dream. Was it? I'm trying to think. Was he in Ladybugs? Or was that no? Was that a different actor with Rodney Dangerfield? I remember. It's like there's so many movies he appeared in. Usually, him and Feldman were starting doing movies together towards the end of the '80s.
Yeah.
Alrighty. But if you haven't seen this though, it is worth the watch. You'll have a howling good time. And man, this is the only movie that when I was younger that I always wished I was crippled so I can get a motorized a wheelchair that runs off a go-kart engine. He turned into a dragster. All right, our next one is it's our second to last runner-up. I've never seen this, but everybody says I should, and I probably will soon. Fred Ward, who just died, I believe, like 2 years ago.
Something like that recently, yeah.
Yeah, within the past 3 years, he died. Man. So take it away, Rob. This is
Wilford Brimley. Everybody knows is the Cocoon diabetes guy.
yeah.
He's done some other things too. Basically, this is a different type of James Bond based off the Destroyer novels, which I think at the time of this coming out, there's already like 80 or 100 of them. It's just a different type of spy character because man, there are so many detective / spy novels and soldiers of fortune type things going on. And Remo was an attempt to do something with James Bond because, as we will obviously talk about with Roger Moore retiring and them transitioning to who would be Timothy Dalton, there was an opening for big studios to sit there and say, you know what, franchises are starting to become a thing. Because remember, this is 1985. Star Wars has only been around for 3 films, Indiana Jones for only 2 at this point. They thought that they could do something like it. They kind of did a lot of stuff right with this. They were remodeling the Statue of Liberty. It's got some great action scenes. It's in New York. It's got the ninja angle, which is, I cannot stress enough how hot ninja was during the decade of the 80s. And so Fred Ward's great in it. There's something about it that I think doesn't click. I don't know how to explain it. It's not a bad film. It's different. But I think people were getting really watered down to the point of having really stupid ass shit in 1985, really lighthearted stuff. That this film here, that's a 2-hour spy ninja movie, just was a little different for them because that's what it is. But I like it a lot. But it's got the whole political angle to it with it and government stuff, which if you'd taken that out, maybe it'd be different. I don't know. But yeah, it's harmless fun. It's lighthearted. Joel Gray's a lot of fun in it, and especially in the training montages and everything. It's definitely an 80s type of film. Unfortunately, it didn't take off. I kind of would love to see them try to use this as a reboot. You can see what happened with Put in the Right Hands, like Jack Reacher, right? Even if it takes a few films and stuff. Remo's 100 books means people read it and like it.
It was like a year or 2 later he would do Tremors with Kevin Bacon.
And Tremors, oh my gosh, that spawned a whole subculture, which we'll get into later. But yeah, Remo's not bad.
And then Fred also went on to be in one of the Crow movies as the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like that's the last time I saw him in a movie. So
always liked Fred Ward. Always liked him. He's very likable.
He's
believable in the role too.
He kind of looks like John Bernthal. His
dad.
Who?
John Bernthal, the Punisher.
Oh, well, since John's young, you have to say John looks like him.
Well, not anymore.
I might take Fred Ward in one versus one. I know John's got some heat on that, but he's not that big a guy, and Fred's kind of old school.
John Bernthal is trained on firearms, so.
And Fred knows ninjutsu, the special black ops here. So
can he dodge bullets?
John can't. Remo can. And does in this movie. Believe it.
And you'll believe it when we talk about our last runner-up. It came out on November 1st. It's the 3rd in the series, and it's by an actor that everyone should at least watch a movie from his. And I bet you Pixar probably has never watched this too. It is 3.
Timeline cleanse.
Oh,
Pixel. Question for you.
another
No.
canon.
Is this a
It's a
canon film?
canon film, yes. It's
Okay,
canon.
good. And have you seen it?
No.
Okay, so that's 3 canons already on the runner-ups.
Oh my gosh.
Listen,
Wow.
I can't help that y'all were going through canon classics like every Tuesday when I couldn't be here for like 2 years.
Explanations mean nothing. Action is all. No happy talk here on this channel.
Do you know out of all these though, I love Death Wish 4 because I love the pipe shotgun. Gimmicks. I love that's all that stuff.
Oh, just if you can read that RDV, you go to the next to last line there. Music by. Can you read that name?
All right, music by Jimmy Page.
Pixel.
Look,
Have you heard of Jimmy Page?
It sounds familiar.
he's usually with a guy named Robert Plant.
Have you
They were in
heard
a
of
band
Robert
together.
Plant?
Or John
No.
Bottom? If you heard of, well,
Stairway to Heaven?
yeah.
Yes, I've heard of Stairway to Heaven.
Who sings that?
You know, these guys were named
Hey,
after.
so we're not trying to put you on blast. I'm sorry. I don't.
No, I'm trying to remember which one it is.
Okay, go see Death Wish 3. It'll all make sense.
Yes, Jimmy Page, guitarist for Led Zeppelin. Does your
The
dad?
kid in the ghetto there, and he's
Yeah,
got
I
rock
could-
watch.
Does
Yeah,
your-
this is a
does your-
cute movie.
It's not gonna make much sense, but in my mind, I mix up the names Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin a lot. I couldn't remember which one.
I don't know how that's possible.
It just happens.
Learn to plane, learn to fly.
I think in the last generation where my parents were jamming out the Led Zeppelin Doors and all them, Jethro Tull and all that shit. Today's age, I don't know. What do your parents listen?
Meet Stairway to Heaven, so that could just have an impact on it.
No Stairway denied. All right, going to the top 10 now. Our top 10 first number one.
It's not when it counts.
This one
Be serious for a minute.
On February 15th. This movie came out, and Pixel's probably never seen it.
No, actually, I haven't. I mean, I've obviously heard about it.
Don't
it's
you
John
forget
Paul.
about me, sir. Don't you forget about
me.
Molly Ringwald was hot. Ali Sheedy was hot too. Judd Nelson's probably his best role. He was in another movie before this. He was in some Back to School, not Back to School, but it was another one like that. But anyway, Emilio Estevez would go on to do stuff like Repo Man with Charlie Sheen.
A great film.
Yeah, the body in the dumpster.
Ali Sheedy would go on to be the Yin Yang Killer in seasons 3 and 5 or whatever it is of Psych.
Yeah, right.
Anthony Michael Hall would go on to try to kick Michael Myers' ass. I mean, there's a lot of historical elements that come up here in the Breakfast Club. Who would have thunk it?
This was John Hughes' Brat Pack because they were huge, the stars for this movie. And Rob Lowe would be later added to this as well as the Brat Pack. Anthony Michael Hall would go on to doing the Dead Zone series later on in I believe in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And phenomenal actor, and apparently using 16 Candles as well, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
Is the little nerd.
Yep.
Like I said, John Hughes. I don't think was this the first John Hughes film?
Oh God, no.
No. What was one?
But
this
this
one,
the reason why this one people like it because I've said before and I'll say it again. And it's my opinion that by about 83, 84, there's this major shift of what films are out there and the studios are adjusting because we got a lot of glossy stuff this year. The Breakfast Club is one of them because it's a John Hughes film. He's been around. He's done several films. He knows what he wants. It's a very good film. It's a talking film, which I generally don't like. But they have Saturday School Detention. They're all in there, and they're they each represent a different type of person that you would see in school. And so they talk about their roles and how they get there, and they don't really necessarily, I think, achieve anything other than the fact that they recognize that they're all different, but they have similarities, and it's like a bonding moment, however you want to look at it. There's a dark scene or two in here. This is probably, I would say, on John Hughes' short list of smarter films because at the end of the day, you're not going to have a movie made today that does something like this. And here, it's not I would say, I mean, RDV, you've seen this, you know, Pix, I don't know if you, I don't think you said you had, but this isn't just a young person could watch this film, and an older person could watch
I
it too and get stuff out of it.
when
It's good.
when I was younger, I watched it a bunch of times. When I got older, I kind of don't like it as much.
I almost feel the same way because it's like I know everything about all the roles and everything, so you're like, there's nothing new for me to gain for it. It's not like you
Hmm.
see a different perspective, like from say from the parents or from another person, like you do when you might get older with
Uh,
some films or the way they have it. I agree with you on that. This is definitely a
and
teenager film for teenagers.
it's basically tells you, yeah, like you said, they're all the same as far as when it comes to, like, the jock, Judd Nelson's character, he still calls out a dick, but then you find out that his dad beats him. His dad's alcoholic. Puts cigarettes on his arm. And
Yeah,
then
he's abused.
he kind of starts bonding with Emilio Estevez, who his dad is also a prick, wants him to be perfect in sports.
Yep.
They both have their fathers are assholes. Molly Ringwald, she's kind of like uptight. She thinks she's is the popper girl, as Judd Nelson points out to her. It's like
Yep.
it's like you're just a bitch. You're like, it's like, and just you look down at everybody. She's like that true. He's like, you think you're cool, so cool, and like I just love. And then I can figure out what Alice she's just really shy throughout the whole entire thing, and she kind of starts breaking
Meek.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, meek, yeah. And then of course you got the nerd in there. I mean, I think because he flunked his test or something like that, or something. I can't remember why Hall was in there,
I
but
think he cheated.
maybe cheated. That's probably what he cheated on
The-
tests.
as a
But
person
like,
that's dealt with high achievers and high
but
level academics, I'll sit
his
there and say this is the first time they really brought in how serious and how intense and all these different types of roles or positions, especially academically, that the cheating or the desire to succeed, how you'll do anything for it. And this exists in all fields. It's not even,
it's
a thing. And they kind of dance around it, which unfortunately, if they dove into it a little bit harder, I think it could be a better film. But it's all of them have something like it that really bothers them.
But the thing that stands out to everybody around this is the Halloween scenes where they're playing the music, "Don't You Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me," which blew
Yeah.
up crazy. Them running
Yeah.
back and forth. That was them dancing. That's what people remember the movie for. I guarantee you. That's it. Because I've seen it. I've seen Disney take this, or was it Disney or if it was, but Nickelodeon copy the same hallway scenes with their own thing. I've seen that people do that. Actually, no, it was the ABBA teens. Remember those? The kids of ABBA. They did their video and they copied the Breakfast Club, the hallway scene. That's where I remember seeing it. But it's a huge movie. A lot of people went and saw this back in the day. People still get a kick out when you hear "Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me." It's such a catchy song.
All I'll just say is I'll raise this question because it might be something that comes up later. Is that when I say that I find it interesting, people of Pixel's generation go back and everyone's kind of like recycling the 80s and maybe 90s to a certain extent because pretty much what little culture was left is
Yeah.
dead at that point, in my opinion, because a lot of it I think sucks. It's interesting because I wonder if somebody younger watching something like The Breakfast Club or several John Hughes films, if they get what makes it work. Because I've said before, like the Stranger Things, and all that, I don't think most of these people do. And The Breakfast Club is very digestible, but again, you're not really gonna have a film like that today because John Hughes basically says, hey, we're a jock, we're a geek, we're a nerd, we're this, we're that, whatever. So you're labeling people and you're doing stuff, but it's not meant as a harmful or critical thing. It's just that's how you classify people. You got to know them, by what they wore and how they walked and talked. And God forbid you try to attempt to do that today.
The goths, or not really the goths. You had the punks, you had the jocks, popular preppies, I love that it plays all different stereotypes from was actually in high school stuff. Actually was real.
I mean, those stereotypes still exist today. There's still people that
there's new ones, but I mean, yeah. The whole point was they say we all are alike. That's what Rob said. But if you're watching this movie and expecting any breakfast, you'll be denied. There's no breakfast.
unacceptable.
They should call it detention because that's what it is.
Detention movies could be cool because there's one or two more in the 80s, but we'll talk about those later.
Our next one is a movie that I recently watched about a year or two ago, and I bought it on VHS or not VHS. Actually, I got it on DVD. I found it in the thrift store, and it is just a fun movie. Came out February 15th, and that is Vision Quest. Hot older babe moves in with his kid. His teen, he's like 17. He's busting his ass off, working at a hotel and all, doing stuff, and then wants to make weight. He wants to wrestle at a lower level, in school wrestling. and he falls in love with her. Eventually, she moves on from him. Leaves him while the big thing. But and if you don't know who this girl is, you've seen the movie. What was it called? Men in Black, right? Pixel.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the woman who has a baby.
No. And she's called Elle. She's in the morgue.
Oh, okay.
That's who this is. And Will
This
Smith
kinda
talks
looks
to her. The one that Will Smith takes on. She gets kidnapped at the end. This is Elle.
Okay.
Yeah. And Matthew McDean, you know him from Stranger Things. He's the older scientist guy.
Pixel, you've not seen this.
No, I've not. Have you
This
seen
this is a
Rob?
very good film. It's he subjects himself to the absolute insanity of making weight, which is really diabolical.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's a thing that happens. But he's driven, and he meets a woman that he resonates with, who happens to be, I think, in her late 20s or something like that.
Yeah, early
So,
20s.
yeah,
and he's
he's in his prime physical shape and all that too. So it's not tawdry. I mean, it's no body heat, but then again, very few things are. So this is a good film. It's got an incredible opening with
yes,
Journey singing
yes,
and them
Neon
jogging
stuff.
around town. This is it's really a nice movie to watch, because you know what, RDV, we've talked about this too. As much as I kind of like shit a little bit on all the puffiness of the 80s and the glossy and how all that, I like some of the stuff that's a little more serious. This is a very positive film with an ending. It's very uplifting when you watch it. It's very nice. It's wholesome.
It is wholesome, and I said it is. He says Ed's never seen this. Guys, go check it out. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, Vision Quest is good. Just go watch it. I think it might still be on Tubi.
I think it might be in there too. Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
a while.
it's honestly, look, see what you're going to see, enjoy what you're going to like. We're just talking about them, getting your guys' feedback. But this is one I would say, especially over Lady Hawk and all that. And I love me some Flesh, but Vision Quest is really wholesome.
This is one we actually reviewed it on this channel here about a year or two ago.
Yep.
Originally, we hadn't seen it, so then once we saw it, I was like, holy crap. Even Rob's like, forgot how great this movie was. Yeah. It would have been 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of movies that some people may have forgot, when you combine gymnastics and karate, Gymkhana, Kurt Thomas.
What?
Pixel. Question for you.
His reaction.
Have you seen this film?
No.
Is it a canon film?
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe? You're supposed to look this up.
Okay, going live right now. Is this canon film?
No. So Gymkhana stars this guy Kurt Thomas, who is an actual Olympic level gymnast. He's the real deal. I mean, you can tell because he can't act. Yes, it is exactly what we're saying. Okay, it's not something that came up just because ninjas were hot, but it was the right time, the right generation for you to cross over ninjutsu and Olympic level athletic gymnastics. It's hard when you have a fusion type film like this, but this is very successful in it. So much so that the creme de la creme scene of the film is when he's being chased in the woods and he's looking around, and then the ninjas start coming out and attack him ninja style, which means one at a time when they surround him. And somehow he uses what appears to be a grossly disguised pommel horse as just a tree stump and slays everybody in it. It's pretty cool because any move that he has, I got to give Kurt a lot of credit. He did not hold back. He brought it all in there, and yes, he lands the dismount. Gymkhana is definitely a treat of the 80s.
The alleyway scene.
Yeah, exactly, right? Hey, you guys just keep running me while I'm doing my 360s, and boom, boom, boom. And you know what, Professor Pixel?
Mm-hmm.
You think your 1,225 episodes of the original Dark Shadows and our review here on Xtreme TV of Dark Shadows Survival, Dan Curse production, invented smoke machines. You would be wrong, because they've existed way before this. They're heavily present here in Gymkhana. Another good reason to watch this film. Castle, middle of Kerplakistan.
Right.
The movie writes itself.
All right. Speaking of a movie that writes itself.
Rambo, First Blood, Part 2.
Or people just call it Rambo because apparently they call the first one First Blood. My thing is, I would never call it First Blood because when people are like, wait, what's that?
Right.
If you call it Rambo First Blood, then they know it's Rambo. That's why I call this one Rambo 2. Even though people it's just called Rambo. I don't understand the logic behind that, but I guess that's what they call it.
I miss when we've talked a little bit. We only mentioned it briefly. We didn't do a deep dive, and I know over on the Geeky Pup Show, your guys'
Mhm.
channel, where you go over readings and comics, you guys talk about things. I don't know if there's a similar trend in that field, but the old posters that they used to have, I used to think it was great because instead of just having a picture name, they'd have a few words or whatever, and you could almost hear the voice saying, "They sent him on a mission, set him up to fail, but they made one mistake. They forgot they were dealing with Rambo," and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I want to see it." Right? It's not just, "I'm still low, come see my movie." No, the guy's telling you that they
Brennan,
fucked up and he's
I'm
going to kick
coming for
ass.
you.
Yeah, I'm coming for you. Absolutely. Pixel, have you seen this film?
Not this one, no. I need
Okay.
to.
Martin Coe's in this. Crease.
That's right. Good boy, Crease. Good boy, Crease. Yeah. We've covered this in our matchup last week.
Oh my gosh.
Good film.
Phenomenal movie. Or Murdoch. Did I say Brennan? Yeah. I always get those confused with their names. All right. There's one. The next one is a movie that Pixel probably has seen.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
I have seen it.
Okay.
Right.
It came out on the day I was born.
Really?
Yes. June 7th, 1985. Goonies. I should have been named
No.
my birthday would have been named Goonie.
So I mean, the Goonies has a lot going for it. I know a lot of people who love it. It is their 80s film, pretty much. I am going to admit I've seen it and it was fine enough. It was fun, but I'm not a big Goonies person. I'm sorry.
So
I second that.
I'll be the
Too much
opposite.
whining.
I'll be the opposite. It's not the greatest movie, but I enjoyed it for what it is. I love historical pieces like this obviously having the pirate ship at the end coming out and stuff was really awesome. Like I love when you find finding hidden treasure like this or treasure chests. That's cool. I watch TV or show documentaries on stuff. Josh Brolin being here was kind of a dweeb. So whenever I see him playing Cable in the Deadpool movies, it's like what happened. Corey Feldman was okay in here too. You had Sean Astin with the inhaler. I can identify that because growing up as a kid, I had inhaler, so I know the feeling. Chunk being the fat kid who just wants to eat food, but people that they tease him, his old friends bully him. We're not gonna let you in. Do you truffle shuffle? Like, man, like that's realistic. Kids would do that to each other,
I don't like kids being realistic with each other here. For some reason, when this movie came out, I just kind of railed against it at first because I agree with you. I love the sense of history, the levels of stuff going on between the town. But, of course, you got a clear case of, by this time, it's not so new, of single mom syndrome right there in front of you and how the evil this and that, and they're going to take her place away or whatever. And it's like, it's not their fucking fault you can't pay your goddamn bills. I get things are tough, but I don't want to hear you whining and crying about it. And all the kids are like it, and there's just too much yelling, and you've got Data who you're like, what the fuck? I don't know. Somehow this has made a resurgence. I don't know why, and I don't know if it's because it is a good film that captures kids having fun and going on an adventure, right? I mean, that's what you want to do. Step outside your house, get together, and go on. And so I love it. Richard Donner does action films. Steven Spielberg put it on, so he's got his paws all over it. It's not a bad film. Something about it I don't like.
It makes sense because it's kind of like a Raiders or Indiana Jones thing.
Exactly.
It's Spielberg, and it kind of for kids.
Yeah.
The music was great in this.
It looks great. Yeah. It's so fantastic looking. It makes me wish they did something like that on the Oregon coast or where they filmed this. You're right about the ships.
The two sons was one of them Robert Davi?
Roberto Davi was one of them. Yeah,
yes, that's I remember.
Trained singer, so he sings in here a little bit,
And they got the mother from Don't Throw Mom Off the Train. Owen.
And Clint Eastwood movies, I think too. Yeah.
yeah, the old lady. She is. Whenever I saw her in there, like those old ladies, I'm like, I would be scared witless too of her.
Well, here's my question for you guys about this movie. Again, watching it, I like everything about it except the kids. That means all of them. So to me, that makes it a bad movie, even though it's good. I mean, it's done well and it's watchable. Do we care about any of them at all? I don't.
I like Data.
Data's pretty
Okay.
cool. The
Because
gadget
I
stuff.
just see Short Round, and that makes
Yeah.
that's nice.
As far as the kids go, I mean, like I can't watch the movie anymore. I've seen it too many times. It's one of the times where I just kind of loses the appeal to me. But I remember when I did was watching it originally the first time. I loved it because of the music, the sense of adventure, everything.
Yeah.
You get the crime family, get the pirate scene at the end. I was like, that's cool. Find a pirate ship and all the jewel stuff. I thought that was really cool. But now I think, do I think it's overrated as far as being like a cult hit? I think that's crazy. There's so many people are like, we're Goonies for life, and it's just like, no, like that's cool that you like it. I just kind of fell out of me, maybe because I'm getting older. But
Yeah.
anyway, but
It's
when I
great to get
really,
Spielberg's hands in it. That's really what the answer is. I'll just say that.
when I Willie, the treasure, when I Willie. All right, now the next one is I kind of feel the same way about as I do this film with the Goonies. Came on July 3rd. This is Back to the Future.
It don't take money.
Great soundtrack, but it gets to the point where I just can't watch the film anymore. It loses the appeal for me. I love the DeLorean. I love the 80 miles per hour. You know, the scene with with Doc Brown beginning. You know, there's some cool lines in here. Christopher Lloyd is always a pleasure to watch. Michael J. Fox, but I love the soundtrack more than I like the movie.
It's a phenomenal soundtrack. Definitely one of the best of the 80s. I look at this and I go, I'm real picky about time travel movies. I got a confession to make. Even though Family Ties is really big, as well as a Cosby Show going on in the 80s, and I
Yeah.
might have watched a little bit of both because who didn't? Um, he doesn't annoy me nearly as much as Matthew Broderick did, but it's kind of close. But in this movie, I give him all the credit for the world. He was doing the show at the time and filming this. I think this is about as perfect as a film that you can have. I think you can watch it from a young person's perspective and adults. Being older now, especially when I saw it then, I can see stuff in it that I didn't appreciate, and it's like every time I rewatch it, I almost catch a scene or something new, even though I know all that. And it's flawless, I think. And other than I think one quick little edit that I seem to catch or whatever when they're at the clock tower early on, when he's getting the phone number. Again, I don't know if there's anything wrong with this film. I just it's sad in a way because it's such a perfect film that anything to me this is the gold standard for it. I mean, it's tremendous.
I remember he's watching this with my dad, and it was whenever he see Doc Brown hanging from the clock scene, and he grabs the thing. He's like, I just laugh at that. Me and my dad would always just laugh because here he is. He's gonna happen. He's right? Like, you know what's gonna happen. He's trying, but he's like, you see him, he's trying to plug it in thing, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, then down there it's not plugged in. He's like, son of a bitch. I just all the humor, the slapstick humor, the physical humor in this movie is great. Obviously, when you see people riding a skateboard, they're gonna hitch a ride with a truck. Yeah, that's not gonna work out too well.
Oh, that would happen all the time back then.
I know, but it's like it's like
this is one of those weird cases where when I first saw it, I actually was like, this is okay. But I went about it watching it again, and that's when the magic moment like clicked on. Like, this is
really magic
great
moment
movie, isn't it? Like,
it makes me glow so much.
It's one of those films that you can go ahead and throw on, and it's pretty much it's a perfect movie. Like,
you know what I think the best thing about the film also is when we talk about not the soundtrack or the scenes and all that. I really enjoy and think it's done well the love story of the parents with how they met and how they're older and how when you look at your parents you go, oh my god, I can't believe they met, and he's watching it and it's just you can say whatever you want about the sequels and everything else there too. It's just absolutely tremendous. And then again, I've always said before with time travel, they're really hard to do because at the end, he is not in the same world that he left and can't be. And yes, he's in the world he wants to be in, but I think he has this awareness of I got lucky, I went through all this shit. And so I'm not going to say there's a sense of doom about the movie, but it does have a little bit of that adult perspective to it where it's not all sunshines and rainbows and puppies and all that crap and unicorns. There's a little maturity into it, which I think obviously like the Goonies lacks and a lot of other films too, but it's a perfect film.
So what's crazy is that what really made Huey Lewis and the News popular was "A Power of Love." That was their number one song, and then "Back in Time" was the other one came out. Both the soundtrack. So like I said, the soundtrack was really awesome. And then this comedy, physical humor, just the idea of time travel. and
Done so
Christopher Lloyd.
smartly too.
Christopher Lloyd from Taxi was in
Yeah.
this. That's what it really launched this movie. But
He's definitely got the juice in this film.
okie dokie. All right, going on to our next one. This is a movie that we read on this channel at least once, and I want Pixel to watch it because I know he hasn't watched it. It comes out on August 2nd, 1985. Fright Night.
What are you talking about? Of course I've seen Fright Night. This is great. This is a fantastic movie. Like, it captures something.
This magic moment.
This magic moment.
Forever.
It captures like this perfect level of parody almost, but it's still, you take it seriously for what it is. Like, because you have the famous classic horror movie star host, and he's going ahead and he's teaming up with this kid. It's brilliant, and your mom is trying to date the vampire. It's great. I love it.
You're so cool, Brewster.
I'm a big hammer for horror film, Mark. It's no secret to that. I know some of you guys a few years back were doing some of your first reactions of older films you haven't seen, and there was a film or two in there. This lampoons all that stuff in a smart way. It's the only R-rated film that there's no way I could go see. For some reason at the theater at the time, they would not let us in to see it. I'm aghast. I'm embarrassed to say it. Of course, I ended up seeing it. It's a great poster where the poster looks kind of terrifying because this movie could almost be a horror film because it's not. It's a comedy. I agree with you. But it's got a great ambience to it, and the detective the vampire is sexy. This made him a little bit of a name. He'd been around a bit, but this is another annoying kid that you don't mind if he dies. And it's all about look. Let's just put it right there on our table. There's a whole nother thing about 80s films that people don't want to talk about, and that is getting laid, whether you're a man or woman, but mostly the men's difficulty in getting laid, especially at the teenager young men level. And that's what this film is about. If you're going to be a wuss ass, you're not going to get any action. You got to turn into a stud. And you can look at it through that lens there too, in a way. And they don't do it like graphically. It's just, it's apparent. It's very obvious.
I thought Charlie was done pretty well. The acting for Charlie, the script and everything for him.
Yes.
It's the second movie where it falters.
It's a little different, right?
Yeah,
this is the guy that's in a show called Hermit's Head, I think, later on. He's not
Hermit's Head, yeah. And Roddy McDowell, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Roddy McDowell.
Takes their money.
Yes, he has. Wasn't he also on Fantasy Island? He was the devil?
That's Ricardo Montalban.
Oh,
but no, the guy that did the reboot of it was Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell. I was thinking of the guy who played the devil on that popped up on Fantasy Island.
I don't recall.
So, I don't know. Marani would know. Marani is like really into that stuff. Anyway, but yeah, the best acting job in Fright Night was Amanda Beers. Unbelievable. Who would love Marcy?
She wants Charlie's action, and Charlie's too distracted.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Real quickly, I want to say the remake is Edward Burr. I would say remake had the better Jerry. Colin Farrell was a more scary.
It's not horrible, is it? We've covered a remake.
I love horrible. I love both.
The remake's not fun though.
R.I.P. Auntie Nelson. That's all I'm gonna say for that. Our next one ends with a kick in an RPG.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Pixel, I don't know if you can see this poster real well.
This is a canon classic, yes.
And who's in it?
Chuck Norris.
What's it called?
Invasion USA.
And have you seen it?
No.
Okay. I was at 4 tonight.
Yeah, well, he wasn't born yet when they invaded Miami.
Okay. Well, so still a canon classic.
They don't teach us in history class when Chuck Norris saved Miami.
Take it away, RDV.
Oh my gosh. If you're looking for Chuck Norris to do some kicks, you get one kick and for a split second at the end. But it starts off with these military guys coming in and storing the beaches of Miami at nighttime. They killed a couple that were making it on the beach, killed them. Then the guy takes the grenade launcher and it's just during Christmas time, starts blowing up the houses. Goes going boom, boom, boom. just you know, I was like, really great use of special effects and everything, but I'm just like, that sucks, you know. Uh, uh there's a fight scene in the inside the mall with the truck and everything, and then the car chase. There's it's just, you know, fun stuff. You know, you see Chuck Norris going in, and he goes up to the group of guys around on this building, and he's like, and he just drops a grenade. And he's like, you guys, here you go. Drops a grenade for them. They die. It's just a lot of one-liners. Fun movie. Chuck Norris. You know, it's like I said, 85 was the beginning of all the crazy over the top just action stuff. You know, check your brain out and just enjoy it. You know, pretty much they're fun. You know, and you bring up parody for the other movie for, you know, but I was like, a lot of them were kind of like taking older ideas and just rehashing them and just making them over the top with explosions, everything. And that's kind of what 80s was. 80s was extreme, and
Yeah,
that's
people
why we
remember
talk
that.
about 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun movie though. You need to check it out.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about before. I was joking about Canon Films in that they were a company that took really questionable scripts and stuff, but they did land a star in Chuck Norris and gave him credit to kind of do what he wanted to do. That really helped them out a lot, and so that's how they were turned to profit. That was the business model. Now, as you know, horror can be done profitably and low budget wise, and you can do a lot of things with it. And that's the current Bloomhouse production in a way. And I think when you look at the 80s, you know, what are things that stick out? People talk about malls, people talk about music. Of course, it's really the intersection of all these
You
things
can
in
win
pop
this
culture. That's
Datsun
what
pickup.
happens.
Remember
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the casting call in the mall. That was, you know, not that was a thing. It wasn't just
Yeah.
an happen one time. A lot of model agencies would do that, especially here in Central Florida.
Well,
But
do you
yeah, I
remember?
mean, all the
I know.
80s things, when you think of the 80s and class and society, they put in
Yeah.
film. It's tremendous.
Malls don't do anymore, but you used to be going to a mall, fill out your name and number, put in this card, and you can be drawn in a draw box to win this car or this truck. And of course, that's what you had. The truck was in here. The Datsun was a thing. You could win this brand new truck. You know, Toyota Datsun. I think it was Toyota. I think it was, or Honda. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it was it. That was cool for product placements. You know, I just watched a Korean movie. It was like a zombie movie, and they had this. They did the same thing. They had a car, and like we could win inside this place. You know, they
Hmm.
hid inside. Like I said, those are real things, and I miss them. That's the draw of malls. You going in there for the good stores, you know. That's where all the chicks were hanging out, man. That's where you go. You'd hang out. So you spend your weekends on there or after school. You kick it
So there's
there.
always this thing of trying to get your attention and
Yeah,
how to do all that. And again, like I say, there was an optimism in the 80s after like the first 2 or 3 years. I always talk about the money part
yeah.
to it because that was big when people's money could go a lot longer. They were like, okay, the inflation is over, and now let's go out, let's spend money, let's go to the malls, let's see all these movies.
Mm-hmm.
They love this whole America thing here too, and you know, I mean, it sounds stupid, but okay, who's going to invade the USA and take it over? Well, we'll just put Chuck Norris against it, right? I mean, the Chuck Norris facts were big, what, 15 years ago, and they're still around. But there's an element of truth because of this over the top stuff that's been going on for some time. And you and I, RDV, launched this channel for the most part talking about some of these early Chuck Norris films. You're like, really? He's on a CB? Break, are you kidding me? But they kept getting better and better, so much so that, you know, there's this competition between him and Arnold and Sly about
Yeah,
what to do, and yet they were all kind of unique, and it was cool. And of course, all the ninja stuff, the John Hughes stuff, a lot of things to really pick from too, no matter what your poison is here.
yeah.
My favorite Chuck Norris story is one that he likes to tell, where there was this time that he was time. Okay, yeah. There was a time that he was brought in with a tiger, and he goes ahead. He goes to the tiger, and the trainer can hear this slow from the tiger, and so the trainer's just very carefully, no sudden movements, back up, and the tiger backed up.
Yeah, I've heard that one before. This one is with Chuck Norris basically, you know, made Will Smith slap his own wife.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
1985. RDB, I'll give it to you here in a second. Just uh, these are a lot of fun. We enjoy doing them. We'll continue with 1986 on Tuesday and next Sunday as well. We'll be dropping a bond here soon as well. It's it's interesting because one of the things we like to do is talk about the themes of what's going on that we see and relate them to other films too. So sometimes you get these weird out of the box kind of connections, but especially if you're a longtime listener, you kind of understand, especially if you lived during that generation, what it's like in
Yep.
Pixel. My takeaway, you got some
All right.
homework to be doing, bro.
Yes. And our final two movies, we'll go there, is one that we celebrate every Father's Day. It came October 4th, and it is.
I don't like Commando. I'm sorry. I just didn't
Yeah.
enjoy it. It wasn't fun for me.
Greatest Father's Day movie of all time. Easy E, book it.
A movie that somehow was not a canon film movie. I don't get it. It's a canon film movie. It should be a canon film movie, but it's not. It's a Fox.
That's true.
It's
And
the
there should
way
have been
they're
Ninja in
overacting.
it.
Yeah. Like I said, this should have been.
Imagine if Bennett was in charge of a bunch of ninjas. I'm just saying.
Come on, Pixel, you got to watch it. Come on.
I've seen it.
All right.
And
And the last one. No, it's
Last
not
one.
Brazil, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Come-
dun, 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 dun,
John
dun.
Matrix would kill you last, Pixel, and he'd lie about it and just kill you, drop you something. You're the little dweeb that's in this movie. Alrighty, but Ray Day and Chong, man. And you're also probably gonna be dead to Brain if Brain hears you say that you don't like this movie. It's like Zach saying he thinks Michelle Pfeiffer's hot.
I know that I hurt
It's,
Eric Breen's feelings one night because I didn't like something. Because surprise, I don't like everything. But
so-
you're going to be dead to him if you say that about Commando. I'm just
oh my
telling you.
gosh, you're the second
Already
person.
in.
Do you know who also doesn't like this movie? I actually know. Actually no. I don't know if he likes it, but I know he doesn't like Conan Barbarian, and that is Zach.
I liked Conan.
Yeah, but apparently you guys are like two peas in the same pod. You don't like Commando. He doesn't like Conan. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. What's left?
Well, what's left is probably the best Rocky movie ever. Rocky IV.
This movie only exists because it's 1985.
Oh, the soundtrack is probably the best soundtrack. Oh man, everything on here.
It's good.
The Burning Heart, Robert Tepper's in There's No Way Out,
There's no shortcut home, Pixel.
Yep, dude.
There
it
is
is
no easy way out.
phenomenal. R.I.P. Carl Weathers, who
Yep.
passes away in this movie, but also in real life.
Shit, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right. It was this one.
Yep. And it is so great because they show you clips from him talking about, telling Rocky, the clip you see Rocky 3 where he's telling him, giving the pep talk, it's like, there is no tomorrow. They show clips of that too in this as well.
Yeah.
And then, man, it is just crazy. And then now, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? They released Rocky's director cut, or Stallone's cut, and recut it, and it is extended, and it is just phenomenal. Polly has his own robot servant here.
Yeah.
Hello,
Don't need that.
Polly. It's just he just wants to go the distance. He wants to go to Russia. It is just the Burning Heart song. The soundtrack, everything with this. Rocky going one more time. He's remembering Mickey. You're a bum, Rock. And then now he just lost Apollo, and now he wants to go fight. And Talia Shire's wife, he's like, you don't need to do this. You don't do this. He's like, I have to. This. He basically fights against Drago, who's juiced up. This Russian is juiced up on steroids.
They're all juice, but
I know.
He looks so good. Oh God, he's just an incredible specimen. What a find!
Yeah, so it was just great seeing it. They're going to Russia, trying to. This is where Stallone finds his girl, the girl he's going to cheat on with his wife with.
Yeah, it's cold when you're over there in Russia filming.
Yep. But the whole log scene, he's going through the knee deep snow. It's all real. It's not no CG crap.
And that's what people think about, like the training montage of steroids and the like 10 lines Dolph has in there. If he dies, he dies. That's phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I always like the fact that Stallone, when he would do something with a character, even if you say Adrian doesn't have a lot to do in here and Paul in, I get it. So you just do enough to show something, but the focus obviously is on Drago and how it represents this big thing. And of course, that's straight out of the commie versus USA playbook, right?
Yeah, it's
And of course, he's there in the American flag. God forbid you're patriotic in the '80s. And I agree with you. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just like I say, it only exists because of the fact that in the '80s there was a sense of patriotism at one point in it.
the Cold
And
War
I tell you, the thing I remember the most about this, you can name all those things you want. It's not quite him carrying the wood, in the snow, but it's him going up the mountain and just yelling Drago. I mean, man, if that doesn't get you chilled, pumped up, I mean, come on, that's the there is no tomorrow sequence.
The end scene, like I said, he's like he said, it's like it's just because this is basically during the Cold War thing, right around the height of the Cold War. It's like in that song, Bret Hart is it East versus West, or man against man. I love that, and at the end he says like if I can change, you can change. I love the speech he does. It's like, man, whether he's doing Rocky or he's doing Rambo, there's always a speech, and it's always it's a goddamn good speech, man. I love it.
You know what? I think the best speech in here is Apollo's trainer, who, if you're watching the second film, I think it was, or the first one, whichever it was, when he's like, he's not being a dick. He's like, hey, champ, I think you should look at this. This guy's all wrong for us or whatever. He's not doom and gloom, right? He's not the he's not the bicycle riding guy on Friday the 13th, right? But when he comes up to him and he goes, Apollo was like a father to me. You know what you need to do. Do it. That's it. You're like, hell yeah, keep it simple. Oh my God.
But the biggest thing we always forget about this, it's living in America. Wow.
Yeah.
James Brown and I watched yesterday for the first time ever was Eddie Murphy imitating James Brown at a concert.
Living with a hernia.
Yeah. That's Weird Al, but anyway, no. But I mean,
right. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, there's the whole thing, and I love they did the whole thing because and Paulo's got the trunks on the USA trunks. That's why you see Rocky wearing the same trunks. Then towards the end, he's like in honor of him, And I just the whole thing. This all the way through. This is a good movie. Every time Robert Tepper's there's no easy way out. You want to just go and drive at night and just gun it down the freeway.
They were just prepping. They were just prepping for a Cobra.
It's definitely not my favorite Rocky, but for a fourth movie, they needed something strong. You're absolutely right, Rob. You couldn't make this today. There's no fighting for the American spirit.
There's no Rockies after boxing.
There's no Rockies after this. You defeat communism. Happy ever after.
He defeated communism. Happy ever after, man. Tommy does not exist. Sorry.
Nobody cares about Creed's so-called illegitimate son.
Yeah, and nobody cares about Balboa. Where my wife's dead, Paulie's dead, and it's depressing. My son hates me. It's like. But the only thing that's good about the Rocky Balboa is the speech he gives. To his son, you gotta get up. That's the thing everybody remembers. But other than that, it's like, no one cares about the. I hated the draw ending on that one. It's like, is it draw? No, it's Rocky. Rocky always wins. Damn it! I don't care if he's 80 years old.
No, he doesn't. The first movie he loses.
And I'm saying since then he wins. I said I want Rocky to win. He's the main guy. I don't want no freaking draw crap. Well, we can't decide who's gonna win or not. No. You choose a damn winner. You go with that. But anyway, best Rocky, and as far as I would say it's best Rocky, but I'd say
it's very good.
I like Rocky. Then I like Rocky 3, but I like Rocky 4 over 3 though. So it goes Rocky 4, and then Rocky 3. Rocky 2, it's
phenomenal.
It really is 1, 2, 3, 4, Rocky Balboa, Creed 2, and then Rocky 5, because fuck that movie.
It wasn't Tommy also in Rocky 5, wasn't he? He was actual real boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He got it. He just things didn't go good for him.
But there you guys go. This is our top 10 plus our It'd be top 22 actually.
I know. You just kept going. I was like,
And here's Rob, a little Rob Johnson for you. Johnson in the middle.
It's a little guy.
He's a little.
You know,
Rob.
you're talking like that, Pixel being the young one, but you are the young boy of the channel. And just remember, if I'm in the middle, that means either you're my top or my bottom. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Man. Like I said, this is our top 10. Let us know what your top 10s are down in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so, click like as well as subscribe, man. But the biggest thing you can do for us is share this out. Let people know this exists. We love everybody in here. Verity Princess, Ed Brewer. I saw Breen popped in. MK, thank you for showing up.
I mean, I like you guys. I don't know about love. That's a little much for me.
I love having them here to interact with.
Okay.
I'm just talking to your lazy ass who hasn't watched most of these movies. And
We're sharing love.
And Maranya, I know who watches on the replay. Anybody else who watches the replay, thank you for watching this and going past the 30-second mark. We need the watch time on these channels, on this channel here. So if you guys can, go back and go through the playlist once you haven't watched and have them in the background. If you want to, put them on mute. They still count as a view, and it helps the channel. With that being said, we'll be doing our Thunderdome this Tuesday in 1986. That means Pixel's going to get off his ass and create the thumbnail for us.
You haven't told me what it is yet.
Well, we'll find out.
That's right.
All right. Hey, Marani's here, see? But
Been there, yeah.
I didn't see her in the beginning.
She's been there from the start.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
She's stalking us.
She's our mom. She's been here from the start.
Classic
All right.
mom. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good night. As always, stay extreme. Good night now.